Hi, Gowan. Welcome back to our second session. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Okay, so before we get started, I just wanted to remind you of the confidentiality that we went over in the first one. We're recording the session, so at any times you don't feel comfortable, we can always shut it off. You understand? If there's anything that goes on in this session, stays between me and you. But if for some reason you are a danger to yourself or to others, it's my obligation to tell my supervisor about that.
Right.
You understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. All right, so in our last session, we went over how you were stressed out because this semester has been overbearing. You're taking 3 courses and you've been sick a lot, which I hope you're feeling better. Okay. So with all that stress, you said that you feel that it was making you sick.
Yeah.
Because it was just like so much. You're close to the end of your degree. So you're kind of like pushing through it, but it's now that you're getting to the end of the road, it's kind of like even more stressful more than ever. Okay. All right. So then what we're going to go ahead and do for this session is, like I mentioned in the previous session that we had, I'm an expert in the Gestalt theory, which focuses on like the here and now. So any of the issues that may have stemmed from previous, we're going to go ahead and have it reflect on your feelings as of right now and how it's taking its toll on you here. Okay? And with the Gestalt theory, we're also going to go ahead in this session and kind of do a replan, which we're going to go ahead and focus because of the last session on like the low self-esteem, and we're going to find some techniques to go ahead and kind of like refocus that to try and get it to a more positive way of going about doing that. Okay? Okay. So with the stress that you were having, has anything changed from the previous session that we had? Any changes, any differences?
Yeah, in some ways it's gotten better, I would say, and in other ways it's gotten worse. It's gotten better in the sense that I have less work.
Okay.
So obviously that, gets better. And also some of the things you said, I thought about, and it really helped with that. But it's also gotten worse in the sense that, it's the end and you get so lazy, Even though you don't have that much more work to do, the work that you have, you just don't want to do.
Yeah, no, it's understandable. It's like it's the end, so it's like you're like, I can do it tomorrow, or like,
and it's getting beautiful outside.
And yeah, of course. So you just rather be outside. Okay, so some of the things that we also went over in the last session was some goals that you had to try and kind of alleviate the stress that you were having. So we did put in a chart from things that you can try and do. I know you said, going to the gym, meditating. You also said learning new languages. You'll take some time away, learn to, not in 5 minutes, but you'll learn, something from a new language, then come back and try and, have you tried to do that still?
Yes, I have.
How has that worked?
I think it worked out really good. I do run now every day, and that, you get the endorphins going and all that, so that's been good.
Okay.
I do also go to the gym, when I have the chance. Running is something I can do with whether I go to the gym or not, but I do still try to go to the gym. And also with the learning languages, I thought that was going to be difficult at first because it's studying, and when you have studying to do already, you don't want to do more studying. But actually what I found is that when you're studying something you like, it actually makes you more able to study something you don't like, actually. Or something, not that you don't like, because obviously I like what I'm studying, but something that you have to get done can easily become a chore.
Yes.
So if you pair it with something you want to get done, it can make it that much easier.
Definitely. Okay, so the whole learning of the new language, so you feel that the learning of the new language, it helps because it not only are you able to learn the new language, you're able to kind of release some of the stress and then come back and go and try and tackle some of
Yes.
your work,
Mhm.
you know, even though it's a beautiful day and all
Yeah.
that, you know, try and get back to that.
Mhm.
Okay, so then I'm glad that has worked out.
Mhm.
So like I mentioned, we're gonna go ahead and do today focus on like kind of like the replanning, and we're gonna focus on like the self-efficacy and the self-esteem. We're gonna go ahead and try and figure out ways that we're going to be able to tackle those in a kind of different way.
Okay.
Because you know, I know the last session you were very stressed out, and it was just taking an overall toll on your health and all that. So we kind of want to keep that, now that you're better, we want to keep that at bay the most we can, you know, especially you have at the home stretch now, so, you know, it's the end, final week, so you want to go ahead and try and do that. So, okay, so based on the Gestalt theory that I was telling you about before, we're going to kind of try and do some techniques from it. We're also going to do kind of like a role play. I know we did some of that before in the last session, but we're going to go ahead and do some of that also, so that way we can see how you're going along with the progress and all that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and I know you said also not only with the school that it's being, you know, it's hard, and also with you being sick a lot. But I know you also mentioned that you're dorming here at the college, and that's not exactly where you feel that you want to be. You feel like you should be somewhere else in life. What are your thoughts on that? Like at the moment, has anything changed with that?
Somewhat, you know, I'm starting to tell myself that, you know what, it's just like living in an apartment, you know, like what's the difference? Just because society says, you know, like, oh, you're old to be on campus, so what, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to keep that in mind, rather than, you know, just living by what other people think and that sort of thing. So I would say it has changed in that way.
Okay.
It hasn't changed in the sense that I haven't liked living on campus any more than I did before, so it hasn't changed in that way.
Okay. Okay, I mean that's understandable. I mean, but I'm glad that you were able to actually like kind of rethink and not really have to listen to like society norms. Like nothing is the norm nowadays. Like there's exceptions to every rule. So there's really, you know, like you said, whether it's on campus, it's in an apartment, it doesn't really matter, you know. What's important is that you're focusing on your education, you know, so it's like you're going to go ahead and succeed no matter where you're at. It doesn't matter, like, you know, so this is just another stepping stone to your next step in life, you know. So I mean, there's people that are, you know, older that are doing college, or you know, so it's like there's no exception to any rule. There is an exception to every rule. So it's so that's good that I like that you were able to kind of refocus and think of it that way. So now with not being where you want to be, I know you did mention that you have a lot of support from your family. And I know you said that you speak to your sister because she's also in college. Do you still use her as a support?
I do. She helps me with a lot of my like research projects and stuff like that, because she's really good at that.
Okay.
So yeah.
So she does. She helps you with that. And when you're stressed out, do you still go to your family? Or okay, so now based on that chart that we used back then, and the goals that we had, I know you mentioned she was on the list there as well. So do you find that you use her kind of like in the same category? I believe she was number 4, as opposed to the learning the new language, which you said was number 1, or do you still have that category like in the same 1, 2, 3, 4?
You mean like in order of what I use? Yeah, I think it's pretty much the same.
It's pretty much the same.
Before,
okay, so they're still being helped. It's still helping in that same category.
I didn't see any reason to change it.
Okay, so, and that's fine. Hey, if it works, why change it?
True.
So that's no problem there. Okay, so what I want to try and do then now is with the self-esteem. I know that with the whole schooling and the end of the semester, and it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
Is there any way that you can kind of like change the way you're thinking to try and alleviate some of the stress that you're having? To try and kind of like talk yourself into lowering the amount of stress that you're having?
Well, one of the things that I do sometimes is I just think about all the great things I'm gonna be able to do when this is all over.
Okay.
And sometimes that does motivate me to get it done.
Great.
It does,
That's great.
Yeah.
That's an excellent way to go ahead and think of things. You know, think about the future,
Right.
what everything holds, and yeah, it'll definitely kickstart everything, so that way you can go from there.
Right.
Okay, so then since you're focusing on the future, is there like any times that you would like kind of say something differently to yourself to try and,
Could you explain that more?
as far as like you have a really big essay to do,
Okay.
you don't have no kind of motivation to do it. The sun is shining, you know, so and so is calling you, let's go hang out.
Yeah.
Is there any way that you would kind of like talk yourself out of it to be like, no, I need to?
Well, yes, but I think more what I would do is try to find a way to work within those things. Like sometimes I'll study outside.
Okay,
You know what I
perfect.
mean? Like I think that's a great compromise sometimes.
Yeah, definitely is. Well, that's kind of what I'm looking for, like
Yeah.
how you kind of like, because there's the end of the semester, you have all these outside factors that are kind of like, you know, let's go here, the sun is shining. So how would you go ahead and go about doing that? So that's exactly what I wanted to hear, that you would kind of compromise
Right.
and, you know, refocus.
Try to bring them both into each other.
Exactly, yeah,
Friends,
definitely.
I wouldn't do that because I don't really have friends that go to college.
Okay.
I need a better class. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, friends are overrated, right? No, that's definitely good, you know, to go ahead and compromise that, because
Right.
like you said, working outside is a great thing. It kind of clears your mind, and you're able to kind of like enjoy the day and do your work at the same time.
Yeah.
As long as you just don't consume yourself with the outside more
Right.
than, you know, the
Sure.
work.
Sure.
So now I just wanted to try and find like a little bit of background. So I know that you said you're stressed out a lot because of the whole school situation and all that. Like how was it with your family? Like, are they like big with college, and you know, college has to be you have to complete it. Do they put like a lot of stressors on the completion of college?
I wouldn't say that they really stress me out with it, but they do want me to succeed.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah. But I wouldn't say that they're really in my face constantly. They're
Okay, so there's not kind of like a pressure on you to have to complete it.
No.
Okay, so then that's fine. Okay, so, and this is the ending of your semesters, so you have completed the 3 courses that you're doing now,
Yeah.
right? Like you mentioned. Okay. Okay, so then your family isn't a big, you know, pressure on you to be able to finish and complete it. Is there anything else like that's making you?
Yeah, I honestly, if I want to be honest, I'd have to say it's myself.
Yourself?
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a little?
Well, I have these standards sometimes that I feel like I have to meet them. And if I don't meet them, I'll feel like I failed as a person.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like your standards. So can you like, what type of standards do you say like you would have for yourself?
Well, obviously, I want to get that degree because I see that as my ticket to, you know, like having all the things that we're told we're supposed to have. A house. I want to have a house. I'm not going to say family because actually I am not really a family person.
Okay.
I mean, let me think about how to say that. I am a family person. I do like family, but it's not where I want to be right now.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm putting that off, but I do want to have a house.
Okay.
I do want to have a good job, you know, and everybody wants, you know, they want to have money and be able to do what they want to do. And I just feel like if I don't achieve my goal, I'm going to be shut out of that, you know?
Okay, so you have this kind of view of yourself that you're holding yourself up to, and you feel like if you don't push yourself, then you're not going to be where you want to be ultimately.
Yeah, I'm not going to be where I want to be.
Okay.
I have this, every time I don't want to do my work, I have this vision of myself as being poor and not having anything, and I'm always saying, like, why didn't you work harder, you know?
I mean, yes. I mean, that is a good way to go ahead and push you to go ahead and succeed. But on the contrary, you can't push yourself to the point where you're going to get sick, you know, where you were when you came last session. So it is great that you have these values set for yourself, that you see yourself, if I don't succeed, I'm going to be poor. If I succeed, I'm going to have the things that I want, things that I know I should have, and you know, and like everything else in between. So it is great that you have that. To go ahead and achieve it's not crazy because you're right there. You're like in the grasp of it, you know, like, so you're able to do it. So with achieving these goals, do you actually see it as like part of your value system?
Definitely see it as part of my value system. Yeah, I have a lot of values that I try really hard to live up to, because I feel that if you don't live up to your own values, you're being a hypocrite. So
yeah,
you know,
that's a good way of looking at it.
And I really value education. My parents have both worked in schools. My dad was a school psychologist. My mom was a teacher. So we really value education, and I want to I want to continue in that tradition and make them happy.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that. So, you know, they have these type of professions that you want to be able to have as well. And be happy with their professions. You know, you'll be happy just as they are, right? Okay. All right. So, I mean, that's great. I mean, I see that you're just even speaking about it. I see that you're happy with that. So, like, it's something that resonates with you.
It's a sense of pride.
Yeah, definitely. So that's great. Okay, so like I mentioned before, with the Gestalt theory that I use, there is this technique that's called the empty chair technique that we kind of used a little bit last session. So what I want to kind of do today is something similar to that effect, and I just want you to kind of use this technique, and you're going to be speaking to like your inner self. So like the times like you're really stressed out and you know that you just want to put the book down because you're stressed, and you know you're feeling really sick because you just have so much workload and you're pushing yourself so much. So I just kind of like want to go ahead and do this kind of role play technique. It's like I mentioned, it's the empty chair technique, and see how you would go about speaking to yourself in the situation when you're extremely stressed, to try and alleviate some of those pressures that's on you. And so we could do it right here, and you don't really have to get out of your chair. If you don't want, you can just do it like that, and we'll go from there. So so you sitting there, and you kind of like speaking to yourself. So go ahead whenever you're ready.
You know, I really want you to achieve the goals that you set out to achieve. You only have a little bit of time left. You have 3 weeks. There's no reason why you can't get this work done. You have, how many papers do I have? I have 3 papers, but one of them is 12 pages, but I don't have a problem with that because I'm really good at writing papers. You give me a paper to write, I can have it done. The things I worry about are these finals that they give us, because you have to, you know, find all the answers from the book, and that can take forever, you know, that kind of thing. So, and you want to study for them. Even though you're allowed to use your book, you have to study for these, because if you're fumbling around looking for the answers from the book, it's going to take up time, and that's not good. So people think you don't have to study because it's an online, but you still have to study. So I think that's really what gets in my way, is these finals and, you know, that kind of thing. But other than that, I really think that you can do this. I know you can do it. It's not even I think, I know you can do it because you've done it before. You know, you've had other semesters of graduate school behind you. You've done your undergrad at other schools, so I know that you can do this. You're just being lazy because it's, you know, it's getting nice outside. We're getting to the end, and I'm thinking about all the things I'm going to do during the summer, and work is really the last thing that I want to do right now. But at the same time, you know that you have done this before and you can do it, and it's going to be over just like that, and you're going to have your grades, and they're probably going to be great as usual. You need to get motivated and do this, okay? Because, you know, you're paying for this. Half of it is your money, half of it is your parents' money. So when you're paying, you don't want to mess it up, okay? Because that's money down the drain, okay? So you really need to, you know, stay on track and do this.
That's great. That was great. That was, I mean, a lot of motivation that you're telling yourself. Okay, so now in response to that, would you say anything?
What do you mean?
So like you're telling yourself this, okay? Now how would you respond?
Oh, say something back.
Yes.
Okay, respond to myself. Okay. Well, what I would say back is, okay, I understand like you want me to achieve this, and I'm going to do my best to achieve it. But you need to understand that it can be rough sometimes because, you know, it's just rough. You know what I mean? You wanna enjoy yourself, and you feel like you can't. And another thing you need to understand is that I am going to get the work done, and I know that I am, but I'm not always going to be positive about it. And it's not just the work that's the problem. It's I don't really enjoy living on campus at all. It just, I don't know. I like being in a place where I have my own space, and I don't really know anyone on this campus, and everybody's younger than me, and I feel old and, you know, annoying. And so you just understand that it's going to be a challenge, okay? I know I'm going to get it done, but it's going to be a challenge, and just be patient and, you know, stick with me on this.
That was great. That was great. How do you feel after saying this to yourself? Do you feel any kind of like more positive, or?
I do feel a little bit more positive because just getting it out there is good, and you know, just kind of it depersonalizes it to say it out loud, sort of. So yeah, I do think that it's a little bit more positive.
Definitely, it definitely does, and it helps to be able, like you said, it depersonalizes, so it helps to be able to hear, even though it's yourself, like to hear a different other side of it. Yeah. You know, so like you're pushing yourself, like you mentioned, you know, when you're doing this technique, it's close to the end. Yeah. You know, you're working hard for this, and this is something that you know you want. This is part of your value system. You know, this is something that you're holding yourself up to a certain standard. So just knowing that, I know that you feel very proud to be able to ultimately graduate with this degree and be able to proceed to your next chapter in life. You know, and go on from there and do great things. Okay, so I know that you mentioned in the technique, the role playing technique here, that you don't like living on campus. Now, and I know that you also were kind of telling yourself that, okay, it's almost done, and it's the home stretch. You're almost done and over with. But in the meantime, until you are done, like, is there any ways that you can go about like making your ending semesters like better? Is there any way that you can think of it in a more positive way, so that way it's not such like a
Yeah, sure. I think I come up with some good ways sometimes. One of the things that I do is a couple of years ago I took a trip to Ireland. Okay. And I took a lot of like video footage of that, and which I still have. So a lot of times I'll just put that on my computer and just watch, and it's really, you know, I have pictures of me videos of me by the ocean with the waves coming in. It's just absolutely, you know, gorgeous.
Oh, and this helps
to make... It really does, because it's like you're transported to that area and off of this campus where it's kind of like this area is so dull and there's just nothing
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're really transported.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one way. I also practice meditation a lot.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, I try to be mindful. I try to get into that state, where you're pushing like all these intrusive thoughts out of your mind.
Yes.
So like if I have a thought about like, oh, I hate this campus, it's negative, I'll just sit there for a few minutes, focus on your breathing, and just push those thoughts out of your mind.
Okay.
Those are some ways. I also think that, obviously going places with friends is always a good idea. Sometimes they're not available. But I just met somebody actually that is very is bored themselves and is looking for people to do stuff
Yeah.
with. So that's somebody I can really
Okay.
turn
So
to.
those are great ways to kind of, change your thought process of, having, because sometimes we have to do things that we don't enjoy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, kind of like rethinking it and enjoying it while it's here.
Yeah.
It's a great way to go about and changing the thought process, which helps out, so doing looking at the videos like you mentioned, finding this new friends, or even okay, and also the meditation.
Yeah.
So all those together are great ways. And I know the last time we also did that chart, that I keep referring back to, which is also good. So when you're feeling stressed and you need like a quick way to kind of like try and reduce that amount of stress that you're having, is also great to go ahead and do.
Right.
So just to go ahead and like recap what we kind of did here today, it was so I mentioned the Gestalt theory, how it focuses on the here and now, and it's really important to go ahead and not really focus on anything that happened past, but instead focus on how it makes you feel now.
Yeah.
And take those feelings and work on it now. Try and take those, and even though it's stress what you're feeling, try and turn it around so that way they're more positive. So like you mentioned, having to be here on campus and it's not what you're enjoying.
Yeah.
So, flipping it and, watching the video of you in Ireland, meditating, or even calling up, the friend that is also bored.
Yeah.
And, just let's find something to do. So those were great ways also to go ahead and do. Also with the Gestalt technique, doing the empty chair, which you were kind of like giving yourself incentive, like I can do this. So that was a great way to go ahead and kind of think of things differently. Like, I know I can do it. I've done it before. Kind of like think you can do this.
Yeah.
I know you can. So that was a great way as well. So with the low self-esteem, do you feel that you have like kind of changed a bit?
I think I have. I think that just learning about all the resources you have at your disposal, and your self-efficacy going up a little bit. I think it definitely has changed for the better.
For the better. So what about like on a scale of 1 to 10?
A scale of 1 to 10, I think it's gone from maybe like a 4 or a 5 to like a 7.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So there's improvements there. So that's great. And all these techniques you can actually take with you home, and you can actually you can work on it whenever these times that you have like it's just overbearing, and you can use them at your disposal.
Yeah.
and just go from there. Do you have any questions so far?
With regard to what?
The overall session.
Yeah, I have some questions about certain things. Like, could you think of any other things that I can do for?
Yeah, there's definitely another thing that you can. That's a great way. So I know you like meditating. You mentioned. So there is this actual technique that you can actually do, which is just deep breathing. Do you want to kind of try it out?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so you're just going to take some time. You can do it with your eyes open, eyes closed, whichever works better for you. I know you're in a dorm, so I don't know if you have a roommate. You can just close your eyes, but like just take some deep breaths. Like you want to take about 5 in and out.
Okay.
So go ahead and try and do that now. What are your thoughts after doing that?
This is a lot like what I do on my own, and it's amazing how that short amount of time.
Yeah.
I mean, I usually would do it for longer.
Okay.
But in just that amount of time that you do it, like maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, it's amazing how that clears your mind. Like, because you're pushing all these intrusive thoughts out of your mind. And it just gives you this clarity of the world, that you can focus on the important things and not on all these little issues.
Yeah.
And I think it's something that everybody should incorporate into their daily life, really.
I agree.
Is having trouble focusing on things and that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I do it myself, so it's very good to do. And like you said, so a quick, just to kind of like take out all the negative little things, and if you want to kind of like refocus on what you're doing at hand, it's really good, to do. Just take like kind of like your own personal timeout type of thing, and it clears your mind.
Yeah.
It kind of like de-stresses you a little bit and kind of relaxes you at the same time. Also incorporating this with some with candles or even like with soft music,
right.
It helps as well. It just kind of like it makes everything 10 times better.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that you could incorporate with that to try and like help out with your whole stress, to try and get you to the end, so that way you can actually.
Right. Because I think sometimes we don't notice how negative we're being. We don't notice how many negative thoughts are in there, and this really gives you an insight into that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I agree. There's certain times that there's negative thoughts that you might have, which can cause sicknesses really quick, because you don't realize the stress and the amount of pressure you're putting on yourself.
Yeah.
Like even though you might know like, okay, I'm under a lot of stress, you don't know how it's reacting to your body, which then it causes sicknesses. Yeah,
it's that mind-body
exactly. It definitely is. So even doing some meditations like this, kind of just clears your mind, your body, and can even just boost you to keep going for the end of the day.
Definitely.
So just doing like little techniques like this will be definitely helpful for you, so that way you can you can make it to where you want to be,
right.
and actually be with your value system and everything that we mentioned in today's session. Well, is there anything else that you have in mind?
Well, just a quick question about the meditation, because I just do it on my own. Do you recommend any like particular place or any position that I should be in?
I mean, it's more about your comfort level. So if you're more comfortable being, crisscross, you can do that. But I mean, you do want to be in the most relaxed position that you can be in, because that's what it's about. It's about being relaxed and kind of clearing what you can. So you don't want to be in like, a small corner and trying to, because it's not going to work, right. So you really want to go ahead and be as relaxed as possible in the situation. And then, just take that time. Like we did a short time here, but you can do, like you said, the 10 minutes that you do, that's a perfect amount of time to go ahead and just, relax and clear your mind.
Right.
So it's more about your comfort level with doing it.
Okay.
Some people might not be comfortable with doing it 10 minutes. Some people might do it longer. Yeah. So it's just about how you're going to go ahead and do it from there.
It's tailored to the person.
Yes,
to the individual.
exactly. So we did it for that time. If you feel when you go home, you want to do it for 15 minutes, definitely, I recommend definitely doing it and try and find those factors. Like I said, the candles, sometimes they have candles that, really relaxes you, and that would be very beneficial.
Okay.
From there.
Right.
Is there any other questions that you might have for me?
Not really at this point.
Not really? Okay, so how do you feel about today's session?
I think it went really well. You definitely opened my eyes up to, some ways that I can motivate myself more, be more positive, and just, when you come into a session like this, you learn about resources that you didn't know you had, and now you know you have them, and you know that you can use them to the best of your advantage. So I would say it definitely, you know, it shot up a little bit from to a 7, maybe even an 8.
Okay, great. I'm glad.
Short amount of time, yeah.
That's great. I'm glad. Well, it was very nice meeting you.
You too.
Until the next time.
Okay.